And a very good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into another edition of This Week in Flyers Hockey. I'm your host, James Scorza, with you. And with me, as always, is my group of companions on a very busy afternoon, obviously. We had the Eagles lose yesterday, tragically, to the 49ers, but we got some Flyers talk for the next hour. So joining me is Austin Hammel. Austin, good to see you, man. How you been?
Doing good, man. Bit of a rough past couple games for Philadelphia, but overall, since the new year, things haven't been too rough. So looking forward to diving into it with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. Joey will join us momentarily. I think he's having some technical difficulties, but we'll wheel him in, especially. So let's begin it, shall we? So the Flyers coming into tonight, they have lost two straight against the Toronto Maple Leafs on Thursday. That wasn't the bag for them, actually, believe it or not, Austin. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it was just one of those games that if you stick around so much with Toronto, it's gonna come back and bite you. And basically never got it going against the Lightning on Saturday night. So we got them back here again tonight to try to have some redemption for Saturday's basically game against that. Like I said, never really got it going. But overall, but the real big storyline coming up in the week is that they got a win against Carter Gauthier and the Anaheim Ducks in this return. So Austin, I'll ask you this first question here. How do you think the Flyers overall played this week to see what they did this week, and how can they bounce back after two straight losses here tonight?
I think the play overall was not as bad as the scores dictated. I mean, that Tampa game, you just let them jump on you early, and they are a team that if they can get on you early, they'll get on you often. The Toronto game, you said it beautifully. If you let the Maple Leafs stay in a game with you, it's going to come back to bite you in the back end, especially when you get into extra hockey, because they actually have a pretty decent record in overtime and shootouts. But that game, man, that game against Anaheim, dude, Cutter Gauthier leading off that game with the goal, giving the quick little get out of here wave to the Flyers fans. And then 5-6 minutes later, you get Zegras on that sharp angle, putting that in. The celebration that Zegras had off of that first goal, taking the glove off, picking up the phone, hanging it up, dude.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Was quoted post game saying, when asked about the celebration by Hartnell, said, and I quote, "It's about how long the phone call lasted." So, it definitely felt great for him to be able to score two against his former club, and with the crowd going the way they were against when Gauthier would touch the puck in that game, especially after he scored. They had a very spirited week, even though the record shows a bit differently. 1-1-1 last week. You really do hope that you can bounce back, and even if you don't win the game against Tampa, you at least put forth a really good effort compared to what you saw on Saturday night. It's going to be a lot of just trying to bounce back and get the momentum back up and going for the week to lead up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the one thing I say about it too, because this week has been a real kind of up and down kind of week, obviously. Because obviously I didn't see much of the games because I had to tell you a long story short. My mom was dealing with the flu all week, so I was trying to comfort her to see how she's doing, and also I'm going through another personal matter. But it's a long story that I want to get into. So, but overall, I think the one thing that was just the big storyline of the week is, like you said there, Austin, was the Carter Gauthier return to Philadelphia and seeing Zegras basically saying, you thought that Gauthier had the momentum in that first goal of the game, and then Trevor Zegras coming out of nowhere and say, okay, you think you're tough, or you think you're better than me, or something like that, thinking that he was some sort of he kind of woke up the beast a little bit, Carter Gauthier, after that goal after the Ducks scored the opening goal. But then Zegras just went on a tear after that. I gotta say right now, I gotta say it's been a real fun ride to see him become something in the last handful of weeks. But especially against his former club, that he also wanted a reputation to see what he did against his former club it's also a good thing here too, to see what he does, especially against very good teams, especially. But the game I was watching on Thursday against Toronto, and I was watching it very closely, and I thought it was a very good game. But the problem was with the game on Thursday was like you had to score more goals against that Toronto team because especially with the Matthews and the Nylanders and all that included, I mean, that was probably one of the big reasons why they lost the game is because, I mean, if you only score one goal against the Maple Leafs, I would be very surprised if you actually could shut them out like you did. But unfortunately, it kind of turned into a little bit of a tailspin. Obviously, they tied it late. I mean, they had the opportunity to make it 2-0 though before they tied it. I think it was Scott Long, the former Flyer, tying it. So we saw Gauthier with the Flyers against his former team on Tuesday, and then we saw Scott Lawton scored a goal against the Flyers on the tied game against the Maple Leafs on Thursday night, though. But at least they got a point out of it. I guess that's the one thing that's been a real positive is you had to get points any way necessary with teams like that. And, I mean, just like I said in the opening segment here, I said basically that the Tampa Bay game, it's just that they really never got it going, you know. It's just that, like, once like Tampa Bay was on a scoring spree, like, forget about it. Like basically that game was, like, over before the period even ended. So, I mean, like, it was 1-0 and the next, you know, before you even blink was like 3-1 or 4-1 without like catching an eye here. So, I mean, I'm not worried that this would now turn into a losing streak, but obviously it's an 82 game season. I mean, hopefully they'll bounce back tonight. I'll be curious to know how they do tonight against Tampa Bay once again. But also the good news is tonight too is that we're going to see Dan Vladar back in goal. So it will be a lot more easier said than done than what Ursa did a couple of nights ago against the same team on Saturday night.
Yeah, I feel like having Vladar in net gives you a better chance to be able to stay competitive in the game. As good as Samuel Ersson has been this year, the games that he's played against, you know, some of the better teams like the Torontos, the Tampas, haven't been, you know, the best outings for him. The performances really don't echo the play that we've seen from him throughout the season in you know the two spot behind Vladar. But either way, you know, you're getting even in the losses, you are still getting some pretty solid play. Like we've been saying, it's hard to come back in that game with Tampa when they're able to just score in bunches. They're an incredibly efficient goal scoring team, and especially the first goal that Tampa scored in that game, really strong 2-man forecheck. Puck along the boards ends up getting freed out by Braden Point, who finds Nikita Kucherov just sitting right there on the far post. Like there, you could not have written that up better as a forecheck response by Tampa to just catch you guys out of position, a little lacking, and being able to capitalize on that thing. It's something that they've done very well throughout the entire year. But I mean, just sort of, you know, touching back on having Vladar in net for this game tonight, that Edmonton game on the third that Vladar ran in net for Philadelphia, going up against quite a few very, very solid opportunities from Connor McDavid, only allowing him to score once. Like, you know that capability is there for this team to defend really well and the goaltender to play very well against top tier talent. So you just have to sort of take that loss on the chin and just try and move on from it and look to try and rebound and get a win against them tonight, sort of get the payback and get that even back up in these two games. But you know, after that, you still have some decent competition ahead of you. So you can't just focus on this game and then forget about everything else the rest of the week. You know, you have Tampa tonight, Buffalo Wednesday, Pittsburgh Thursday, New York Saturday. It's a pretty tough schedule. Buffalo's given you a pretty good run for your money. Pittsburgh's had your number a bit this year. So you definitely do want to try and get those wins under your belt going into the end of the week for sure. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, that was what I was going to bring up in the second topic here, especially. So for me, I mean, the one thing about this week is that if they don't win tonight against Tampa Bay, at least they try to make it more consistently better than they did try to make it more. Basically, if they get into overtime or get a point out of it and try to basically give it a run for their money is Tampa Bay here, but Pittsburgh, yeah, you're right, absolutely. Pittsburgh's had our number all year long, so it's going to be another dynamic duo of the Battle of Pennsylvania on Thursday. So I'll be looking forward to that. But Buffalo, on the other hand, too. I mean, you're right about Buffalo. I mean, I've been trying to watch them the last couple games. I mean, they've been playing pretty well. They got some good scoring up there. Obviously, Tates Thompson's having himself a good season, and also Rasmus Dahlin, and the list goes on and on about that too. And the thing about with Pittsburgh is that, I mean, this will be actually the first time this year we actually play in Pittsburgh. And surprisingly enough, we haven't played Washington yet. So we'll be curious to know. That's probably coming up in the next handful of weeks after the Olympic break, because like we're almost at the verge of that Olympic break coming up in the next month or so. So it'll be good to know to try to get some points out of it. And also the Rangers, on the other hand, yeah, I mean, they're very good on the road. I mean, they have a better road record than they do at home. So it will be something to be. I'll be curious to know how they would do mass majority of the week. But if they can like 2 wins out of it, and also they get wins and it gets the Sabres or Penguins, or even against the Rangers before they take on the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas next Monday, hard to believe, on MLK Day. So it'll be curious to know what we do on that portion too here. But right now, I think the most important thing is tonight you got to bounce back tonight more than anything, especially against a feisty Tampa Bay team.
Yeah, you just have to stay competitive. That's going to be the main thing that you have to, keep reminding yourself of is,
Sure.
No matter what the final score is going to be at the end of the game, you just need to keep that game competitive. It's just going to be a lot of, just trying to be able to keep up with the pace that Tampa has, because they can, like we saw in the game on Saturday, they can get out to a pretty sizable lead pretty quickly if you're not careful with them. And you just hope that you can sort of take what you learned from that game on Saturday, bring it into the game tonight, and be able to, like I've been saying, just keep the game competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's move on here. So we got the keys of the game here tonight coming up against the teams that we just brought up here. So, Austin, I'll ask you this question: how do you think the Flyers will do this week, especially against these teams that we brought up in like tonight against Tampa Bay and Buffalo, and then Pittsburgh, and then the Rangers? I mean, for me, I see them like win probably 2 or 3 games, depending on what the Rangers does, and also depending on what the Penguins do too. So if they can get like 2 or 3 wins out of it, I mean, that's pretty good. That's actually a better week than what we expected going into last week on a minute.
Yeah, I think if you can win 2 and get points in 3, if you can even just push 1 to overtime, I feel like you'll be in a solid spot. So, you just have to be able to, again, just keep these games competitive, keep playing the game the way that you've been playing it, and, just be able to bounce back against Toronto tonight and then move forward through the rest of the week against some pretty stiff competition, but you should be able to see your way through it. Like we said, Buffalo is pretty solid. Pittsburgh's had our number this year. New York, they can't really seem to win too much at home. So they're, getting the game in Philadelphia is going to be a bit of a bigger boon for them. Mm-hmm. So you just hope that you can just keep these games close. If you're trailing, get these games wide open if you're ahead, and just be able to just secure points more than anything, because you're in a really tight race right now in the Metro Division and the Eastern Conference as a whole. So you want to be able to keep yourself in that playoff picture as the season goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think the other thing too is that the one thing I worry about with Tampa Bay is that, I mean, obviously I don't think we are going to expect a scoring spree like we did on Saturday night against the Lightning, but they are still a good team. I mean, they were still probably one of the best teams in hockey for that reason alone. And Vasilevsky, who's having himself another stellar season. So, yeah, I mean, tonight I would hope that if they can get a point out of it, if they can get like 1 point like into overtime and try to lead this game into overtime, and also see how Dan Vladar does against Tampa Bay. The Sabres, on the other hand, that's for me, that's going to be the big momentum of that game on Wednesday, is that they did play very well the last time the Flyers and Sabres played against each other. They scored there was 3 goals in a matter of 20 plus seconds. So I mean that was the game before the holidays. So I guess this will be the first time they'll be in Buffalo for the first time since that meeting in Philadelphia on that December night. And the Penguins, like you said, that's a perfect argument, because they do have your number. I mean, I do agree with that. I mean, Crosby and Malkin and also Letang, who having themselves a great year, even though they're in their 20th year, hard to believe. I still can't believe they're playing this strong like they have. And yeah, I mean, they still got the only big storyline for the Penguins is that they don't obviously got Tristan Jarry anymore, and they only even got they got Sheloff, who's a big storyline in that too. So it'll be something to keep a close eye on. And join us now is a good friend of ours, Joey Marks, on the program. Good to see you, Joey. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how are you doing, guys? Sorry I'm late. Last minute meeting ran a little late, longer than
Yeah, no
expected.
worries. It's all good. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
good, man.
well, at least you didn't AJ Brown us and just said screw you guys, I'm going home. No, I'm just teasing, man. So
Yeah,
we were just
well, it could be like that, couldn't he?
yeah, I could have AJ Brown it too today because I'm a little bit queasy myself, but overall, but we were talking about here was the win against the Anaheim Ducks and the return of Cutter Gauthier on Tuesday. 2 losses against the Lightning and then the Maple Leafs on Thursday and Saturday. So, Joey, maybe I'll ask you this question about the Cutter Gauthier thing, since we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week because I've been under the weather and also my family dealing with and I'm also dealing with a personal matter. But how do you think the whole overall the game went for you to see the return of Cutter Gauthier become a real factor? I mean, how did you think the Flyers did on Tuesday night that kind of should have springboarded into 2 wins against Toronto and Tampa Bay? But it's good to know that Cutter Gauthier didn't come out here like basically it was kind of like a Chaz Palminteri, like now you just can't leave type of feel for him. Am I right?
Oh yeah, at least he didn't come over like the Niners did and just kick our ass and leave. You know, like right. that was definitely a positive. But the idea, you know, in the beginning with Cutter Gauthier, because I remember doing when we were back at EOP, I remember doing a player profile on Cutter when we drafted him, and the quote unquote next Eric Lindros. That's what the quote on the one profile that I read. The comp was next Eric Lindros. I'm like, so he puts his head down and is going to be concussion prone. Okay. But look, you know, with Cutter, he's got this ego and he's young and he's dumb and he pissed off the wrong city. And you just ended up in Disneyland. You ended up with a team that's owned by Disney. Good for you, buddy. You're not that badass. You can come here and you can act like one of the Bash Brothers all you damn well please, but in the end, you're just Minnie Mouse's bitch. This is where So this is where I'm glad that we have Trevor Zegras, because Trevor Zegras said, "Oh, I'm not good enough anymore. You guys just wanted me to walk out the door? Okay, that's cool. I found a home. I found a place that respects my talent, that appreciates my talent, and more than that, I'm good here. So good riddance to bad friends." That's the way Trevor Zegras welcomed the Anaheim Ducks to Philadelphia.
You know what's funny, Joe? When I saw that celebration, it kind of reminded me of Incubus's "Nice to Know You" song. Like, "Nice to know you, goodbye." You know, it's like it's kind of the same thing. I felt about it too here, but you know what's funny too about it? Like after the goal he scored, I said to myself, "That's gonna piss off. That's gonna piss off somebody on that Flyers side." Like, it was good to know it was Trevor Zegras was on that side and say, you know. Yeah, okay. Now you want to take shit on my team? Here's what I'll do. I'll piss on your cornflakes too. Like both can two can play at that game. You know, it's kind of like friend or foe like type of feel to that. But yeah, it was probably the highlight of the week that Cutter Gauthier. I mean, you would have thought obviously if he would have won that game, like the next day it will be like EJ Radick or it will be Mike Rupp said, "Oh, he just treated Philadelphia with the like the sword in the soul," you know, it's something like that. Yeah. Like just like the stabbing of the back of the Philadelphia sports fans. It's kind of like the heel coming into Philadelphia and saying, you know, like the wrestling stick that.
And after this weekend, like even though that was Tuesday and what happened yesterday, like at least in some way, because you gotta imagine if Cutter Gauthier would have came in here, had a hat trick, Flyers would have got boat raced by the Ducks. And then what happened yesterday happened. This city would be like on suicide watch.
Oh my God, yeah.
It would be crazy. But like, here's what I take away from the week. So you had the big win against the Ducks, and I think, look, many people can just say, we don't care. The Ducks are just another opponent. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But every single fan that's a diehard Flyers fan had that particular game circled on their calendar because they wanted to welcome back Cutter Goodyear in only fashion that Philadelphia fans can do. And then going to, dealing with Toronto, and yeah, okay, that should have been a better game than what we put out. But, it's like I keep saying, we just got to keep stealing points, even if it's ugly. But then going and getting completely annihilated by the Lightning, that's kind of like hurts the soul in of itself. That kind of was like a lightning bolt to the head. And the fact that we have, tonight the bolts again, it's you just hope for a better outcome.
Well, the good news is Dave Vladar will be back in goal tonight, so I guess it'll be a lot more painless. That Vladar will be easier. I think the other thing too that I looked at the week that was the Flyers game. I think that Maple Leafs game was already won. I mean, if, like I said to Austin earlier, if you can shut out the best team in hockey with the Austin Matthewses and the William Nylanders actually Mitch Marner's not with them anymore. I forgot he was with Vegas.
John
Tavares, that's where I was going at. Right. So, yeah, I mean, like, if you can shut out that team, you can probably win any team. You can probably beat a lot of good teams.
Yeah.
But how they
I have a question for you guys, though. So,
sure.
With that Tampa Bay game, right, 7-2, there's a reason why they didn't take Garrison out, because then you would have to put Villard in, and you're already working him a lot. He's got a lot of ice time. You need him for the long haul, so you're not trying to overtax him. Is it possible that the Flyers should think about carrying 3 goaltenders? That way,
it's not a bad. It's not
that
bad.
That
not
way,
bad to think about.
If Everson has that kind of showing,
like.
You're not burying your team further by a goaltender like him having a bad game. Like, having a Fedotov isn't necessarily,
Kolosov, I think you're thinking of.
Right.
Either or.
Right. It's not earth-shattering to have either or. But the bottom line is, if Erison's struggling and you can't put Villard back in, you have to go somewhere. You don't want to, just say, okay, this is a scheduled loss. We're down 2. We're down 3. We're down 4. Like, you don't want to keep burying your team.
Yeah.
And I was just curious if you guys thought that having the Flyers carrying a third goaltender might help that situation.
You're gonna answer that, Austin.
Yeah, I think it definitely would, especially considering what we saw on Saturday against Tampa. But then you think at the same time that sort of that cuts out another piece that you may want to sort of be working in a rotation on your defense or in the bottom 6 of your forwards. Like, that could mean that a guy like a Grunstrom or a Denver Barkey or somebody gets sent back down so that this goaltender can come up. And I totally understand the idea of, the nights that you're not going to start or even consider playing Vladar, you can then scratch him and have it be these 2 goaltenders instead. Have it be Erison in net with either Kolosov or Fedotov behind him. Sure. So you would have that flexibility, but then it feels kind of bad having that young goaltender up as a third goalie when he could be getting that work that he needs to help develop a little further down in the minors. Goaltending in the NHL now is way more paramount than it used to be, when you had really solid defenses playing in front of you, being able to cut pucks off before they even got a chance to get to the net. Like, you still have that a lot in the NHL now, but if you can really craft a goaltender and mold them into what your organization wants him to be in terms of being able to build around what he's already started and why he got brought into the league in the first place, you have to look at it under a microscope in that respect, where, doing that would be great, but it could potentially stunt some progression that you would see from these younger guys. Like, I feel like the way that Denver Barkey's been playing, he deserves to stay up. Same thing with Grundstrom. You know, all these young guys that have been coming up, we've been screaming about them all season long, how well they've been playing. Even, you know, Christian Dvorak getting the extension, like all these guys are earning their time, earning their contracts. Like you want to keep letting those guys run because they're getting better every single day. And I feel like Kolosov, if you can, definitely put it on the table as an idea, but then it becomes the idea, not even the idea, it becomes the thought of, okay, so we're going to do this. Who the hell do we send down? Because everyone's been so good.
Right. Yeah, it's
and
true.
I also wanted to take a second because we weren't here last week. Congratulations to Denver Barkey securing his first NHL goal, man. That was an incredible play. So it was a very heads up, just crash the net style play. Send that puck back over and just go. And like that's the kind of stuff that you love to see from these young guys, you know, crashing the net, like we've seen with Christian Dvorak this year, playing the forecheck very well. Grundstrom being a goal-scoring anchor for your fourth line. Like it's been incredible watching these kids play, and they're only getting better as time is going on.
You know, we talked about this, you know, before, especially when Forrester went down. You know, we said, okay, this isn't the replacement for Forrester. The person who's going to help this team recoup some of the talent and stats and numbers that Forrester was going to do for this team inevitably for the season. That was going to come from more than one person. And I think Barkey and Grundstrom are both at least two of the guys that are really proving their worth in that notion. Look, Tyson Forrester is being missed on this team, but to not lose a complete step in that, especially in that fourth line, because as I have said before, you know, there was a point earlier in the season and even at the end of last season, that third and fourth line when it was like Brink and Forrester and Cates, like that was a very lethal line. It was probably one of the better lines we had going. Now, look, I do like that some of these top line guys are starting to kind of be heard. Owen Tippett, TK, you know, Mitchkov, like these guys are important. The one name that I'm still waiting to, and I get it, people are going to tell me he doesn't need to be that like statistical leader. He just needs to be the captain, and that's Sean Couturier. Yeah, like I need to see whether Sean's got anything left in the tank. And I'm not saying empty it now. But I'm saying when we start to go into this stretch run after the Olympic break, when we start to go into this stretch run and get closer to the playoffs, because this is a playoff team. This is a playoff team. We need to have him empty the tank. We need him to earn that C, because there's some people in this city that don't earn their C.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another going back to what you were talking about with players being able to fill that void that Tyson Forrester left behind. Owen Tippett has been stepping up recently in the past couple of weeks. He's been playing some really spirited hockey. He's been getting himself on the stat sheet a lot. So it's good to see him finally starting to come to life a little bit more as the season's been progressing. We have, I want to say, somewhere close to 15 total goals on from our defensemen this year so far, which that's a big boon, being able to fill some of that space that Forrester left behind as well. So, I mean, there are a lot of different places that you're seeing a lot of really good production from in terms of filling that space that Forrester has left behind, being shut down for the year. You also right now are sort of battling against, you know, not having Jamie Drysdale after taking that pretty vicious hit way away from the puck in the game against Anaheim. Yeah. Which, I mean, you know, thank goodness the Ross Johnston got the 5 and the 10 with the ejection for that, because that was, you see, he follows the puck down and like on the slow-mo, he follows the puck down with his head, turns back to Drysdale and just keeps going.
And you know what? I've heard reports that was not I won't say that's intentional, but that was something that was between the two of them. And
there's something personal that had happened there between those guys.
There's something underneath the surface there, because there wasn't a lot of remorse once he got hit.
Johnston in that situation could have very easily instead crashed the puck and took a body there. He saw Drysdale hanging out on his own and went for it. I mean, I'm not going to dig too deep into it because I mean Johnston's done some things like this in the past with other guys, but you know, he's never truly been known as that guy throughout his career. So it's kind of tough to be able to pin that kind of thing on him in that situation. But that definitely did feel like it was targeted.
Yeah, like
like you said, he and Drysdale had to have something.
Yeah, as a guy who played that role, even if it was Pee Wee and like juniors, as a guy who played that role, believe me when I tell you, like there's coaches that say your responsibility is number 19, and you hear that and go, okay, and you hear every coach or every team usually has a different code word, but the code word that you hear, it either means no matter what or only with the puck kind of thing. And so only with the puck is you can lay into him, you can wait for him, you can trap him, almost kind of like, you know, pressing up on a guard in basketball, like you play press up on him. There's a difference between that and just every time that guard gets the ball, you hack the hell out of him. Like there's a difference. For me, more times than not, it was the code word was usually, you know, only with the puck, because at that young age, they're not teaching that. But it happens, and I know it happens.
Oh yeah, and that's where some of the danger still truly lies in the game. In that respect, is you have those guys that, like, granted, you know, they always toe that line of like what's clean, what's not, but you have those moments that stand out where you really want to be like, pardon my language, like, what in the hell, man? Like that's. I keep wanting to drop F-bombs, but I'm actually controlling myself.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep my PC in check.
It was really god dang rough, dude. Like I'm about to start turning into old man Phillip Rivers over here, dude. Like that was god dang rough, dude. Like,
yeah, it was pretty bad.
But like I've mentioned,
hey, Cletus, get down, get the
goat. But like I mentioned before, probably about a month ago or so, you don't really see a lot of those kinds of hits now. So when you see them, your reaction is a lot larger. You know what I mean? Like they've definitely cleaned the game up in that respect for a lot of those kinds of things. Because you used to see a lot of times like guys would get hit on the boards and you would see an elbow come up and catch him in the chin and the refs wouldn't call it. Right. But like you're not seeing as much of those kinds of things now, where guys are taking extra liberties in like the stuff that they do. But there's still those little, I guess the term that I would use is freak occurrences, where just like we saw with Ross Johnston on Jamie Drysdale, sometimes there's a personal thing between those two guys that, you know, continues to bleed through the course of a game until something like that happens. Right. There were probably a few times during that game where those two guys wound up getting tied up in front of a net. And, you know, instead of the referees coming in and like slowly breaking that up, the players were getting themselves involved trying to break that up instead. And it just created some extra animosity to the point where Johnston said, you know what? Screw it. Gives his coach a look like, I'm going to get him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what people don't understand is like like you hear it in football, like Brandon Graham did it. You hear it in football, but like what people don't understand is like, oh, these guys are skating all around. They don't have time to trash talk. Oh no, they do. You can trash talk a lot on the ice. You can say a lot of things. I've heard a lot of bad things, even out of like 17-year-olds. I've heard things about mothers and fathers and sisters, and it just got. I mean, I'm lucky I only had a brother, and I'm like, you know, I'm sitting there going, thank God, because if I had a sister, I would have probably been out of the league just like that. But that's the thing is, in the league has done a really good job trying to protect the players, but you still have these guys. And look, the Ducks, I said this before, the Ducks aren't our rival, but Cutter Goodyear basically put a freaking target on the Ducks. So welcome to the rivalry, Ducks.
I can't stand it. I'm
sort of like how it like the early 2000s, like after the Red Sox before the Red Sox won the World Series, JD Drew went from Atlanta to Boston.
Right.
Our whole thing was like, sorry, Red Sox fans, we don't hate your team, but JD was there, so we hate your team. Like, I hate to break it to you, but like that's what it is. Like Eric, like the end of Eric Lindros's career, going from the Rangers to the Capitals to Toronto. Like it was like, we already hate you, but now he's there, so we hate you even harder now.
Right.
So like I totally like that. That is, I think, my favorite thing about Philadelphia fans is that we're like, we don't like this guy specifically. This dude did us dirty and talked trash when he shouldn't have.
Well, see,
don't matter where
the Scott Rowan effect.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where Cutter Gauthier is going to go for the rest of his career. If his name is on the back of a jersey, the second that man's skates touch ice, he will not hear the end of it.
So I mean, that's the thing is when Eric Lindros went to the Rangers, he could have gone anywhere. He just like, I'm going to go to the rival. I don't care. That's like, for anyone who doesn't understand this, that's like an Philadelphia Eagle going to the Dallas Cowboys. That's the equivalent. Okay, Flyers fans were
like when
not
T.O.
happy
went from Philly to Dallas.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when T.O. made the transition over to Dallas from Philly. The same thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's almost the
Andrew Bynum effect.
It's almost a mirror from what T.O. did with what Cutter did.
Yeah.
Except T.O. was already an established guy, sort of acted his own way already, and had a falling out and made it public.
Yeah.
Cutter
was a good example of that.
Cutter wasn't already established, but he had a beef and he made it public. And that's the one thing that you don't do in Philly is you do not down talk this city or our teams. Sure. The second you do that, public enemy number one.
Oh yeah. And like that's the thing is like he's not established. But if you ask him, he'll think he's the the cat's meow and whatnot. Like, dude, you haven't made it yet. You're not a Connor McDavid yet. Like take a break and understand your place right now. And so that's the thing that frustrates me. It's not just, okay, you're going to down talk to this fan base and expect nothing, then you haven't done enough research. Number one. Number two, the idea that you think that you're a gift. No. The only gift was Harrison Bader, okay? That's the only gift, all right? Let's just get that right.
Got that right. I can go back to a ways when a guy came back to town. It was actually, like you said it best, with Lindros or JD Drew. Andrew Bynum's another one that comes to mind too, especially that he didn't play one single game here, and he became his own worst enemy.
Ben Simmons is another prime example.
Ben Simmons, James Harden.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of those kinds of guys that have come through this town that have made their way to the top of the enemy list just from the things that they, I guess you could say, haven't done that they should have been more than capable of doing. And then they say one thing inflammatory about one of our teams or our city in general, done.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. The last thing I'll say about the Cutter Gauthier thing here is that I was telling this to Austin earlier, and once he when he said that, gave a salute to the Flyers fans, it's like, somebody like on that team, I'm glad it was Zegras, but somebody said, okay, like, you're just heckling my team. now you're going to pay for it. Now you're going to pay. And it was a good thing Trevor Zegras did it too. And it's funny because like when he did that hang up thing, it kind of reminded me of Merrill Shatan after a goal against Toronto when he was still with the Sabres, and he was like call me back. And then the problem is like the thing that I loved about Zegras too is that he had a reputation too against the Ducks like Carter Gauthier had here with the Flyers. So it was like it evened it out. Like it basically said, like I even said on Facebook, I put a chant together that said Zegras is better instead of like FU Carter, like you know, like what the Flyers fans were saying at the game. But the positive is too is that it gave them motivation, and even kudos to Brian Boucher. And he said it kind of felt like a playoff game, you know? It felt like there was like a playoff atmosphere at that game. And that place, I mean, look, I heard it like the commentary of it. I mean, that place was like loud. I mean, that place was like electric that night, dude.
Well, I know Jim Jackson's like, I've seen this before. I've never seen
old time hockey, yeah.
Like this is old time Flyers hockey. Like,
oh yeah.
Okay. And here's my final thing about Cutter. He is going to have a difficult time in his career if he never really understands that it's not just about him.
Sure.
And I think that was always the issue with Eric Lindros, because it had to be he was the centerpiece.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, but hang on. The Legion of Doom line isn't just you. And the Legion of Doom line was the centerpiece. That meant it was you, right, Leclaire, and Remberg. And then, you know, we still had, much like what we have now, a lot of young, hungry players that are starting to kind of pitch forward with things.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I want to see Couturier kind of step up, because I want to see that line at its maximum threshold.
Sure.
You know, the one thing we have to kind of bear in mind is Travis Konechny, I believe, is, you know, there's a conversation about money when it comes to Travis. And it's going to be a conversation we're going to inevitably start having in the next couple months. But I'll tell you this right now. As presently constructed, the Philadelphia Flyers, and I know we're about to talk about what's coming up in the upcoming week, the Philadelphia Flyers are in a really good position to still do a lot to make the playoffs. I mean, this is Jim Jackson said it best. There is like 10 points separating the first and the 8th seed. Yeah. Like, it's not that many points. It's literally, it's a card shuffle. And the Flyers are in that card shuffle.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that makes it even more positive is that, like, they're right there in the playoff line. I mean, they're right there. I mean, it's not like they're like on the outside looking in. I mean, they are like right there. I mean, they're right where they needed to be. I mean, they're way ahead of schedule than we thought were going to be. And I think that's the most important thing is that, like,
and the main thing about it is it's not just about winning hockey games; it's just about securing points.
Right.
Like I'm a big soccer guy, so the main thing that you're looking to do in every match is secure points. Granted, you can finish a match in a draw, still get a point, but you leave 2 on the table. Right. But when you win matches, you're still winning matches. You're still getting extra points onto your total to push you up the rank.
Right.
So if you can even if you lose, force games to overtime and shootout, make these teams fight to the very end to be able to beat you, you're still walking away with a point. If you can beat them, bet that's 2 more on top of the fight that you already got for 1.
Absolutely.
If you can fight them in regulation and beat them, that's a solid 3 right there. Like, you have every single game is an opportunity to walk away an extra step closer to getting up in the rank. And they're taking that as literally as possible, and they're fighting every single game that they have the opportunity to fight in. Tampa just jumped on you. Right. They're a team. Ironically enough, their offense is literally lightning in a bottle. Once the cap comes off, it's over. And that's kind of what happened on Saturday. They just jumped on you, and you could not respond fast enough. And what you have to do now is understand sometimes you're going to get beat like that. It's gonna happen. Teams are too explosive. You play Colorado again in like 2 weeks.
Sure.
That game's the way that they've been, granted, although I did learn something about them. They're incredibly efficient 5-on-5, nowhere near as efficient on the power play. Their goal rate is actually cut in half when they're on the power play.
That's
it's extremely crazy. The best team on the power play, the second best even strength team, the Edmonton Oilers.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So special teams can kill you sometimes. And that is proof right there. I want to say it's like even strength. I think they score every like 16 minutes or no, every 11. And then on the power play, it's every 16 minutes. It's like or whatever it is. It's like a 46% differential between the two.
Wow.
And it just goes to show you can still be, you can still have a part of your game that's lacking. But if you're able to jump on a team consistently in like transitional 5-on-5 play, you don't have to worry about special teams.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is just playing the grind game. If they can get a goal even strength, sick. If they can get a goal shorthanded, sick. If they can get a goal on the power play, even better. Philadelphia is just finding different ways to jump on you where certain teams are sort of folding into one side.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
You still have to be able to defend a very efficient 5-on-5 team.
Right.
So
that's the thing.
You already played them, and they fought. They had to claw their way out to a 3-2 win. So that's already a positive for how this team has played so far this year. It's just about maintaining momentum now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think break coming up in about a month now? A little less than that.
Less than a month.
Less than a month.
Yeah, say about 2.5 weeks, more than likely. Grind into the break. Use that break if you're not participating in the Olympics. Use that break to rest, recover, make sure you keep your work up. So when the rest of those guys come back and they have to try and pick themselves back up a little bit, you're there to do it. Like that's just how I feel this team has been this entire time. And if you can just keep that mentality going through the break and coming out, like we've been saying, you can easily still be in that 8-card shuffle for playoff positioning at the end of the season.
Have the Olympic teams been announced yet? I mean, have they?
They have.
Selected?
They have.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get the rosters.
I'm curious, like, because I know even with the selections, like the players can decline going, like right up to the end. So.
Yeah, I think Canada's is I think Canada has their team already. I know Busto, and I think there's a couple players from the Flyers obviously made it. So I think it was like Sanheim, I think made it. I think Konechny made it. I think Busto for Finland. There's a couple players that made the squad though, but they couldn't deny it.
The U.S. team consists of. Let me come back up to the top here. Matt Boldy from Minnesota, Kyle Connor from Winnipeg, Jack Eichel from Vegas, Brock Faber from Minnesota, Jake Gensel from Tampa, Noah Hannafin from Vegas, Connor Hellebuck from Winnipeg, both Jack and Quinn Hughes from New Jersey and Minnesota, respectively. Quinn now from Minnesota. Seth Jones of the Panthers, Clayton Keller from Utah, Dylan Larkin from Detroit, Austin Matthews from Toronto, Charlie McAvoy from Boston, JT Miller from the Rangers, Brock Nelson from Colorado, Jake Ottinger, another goaltender from the Stars, Jake Sanderson from Ottawa, Jacob Slavin from Carolina, Jeremy Swayman, goaltender from Boston, Tage Thompson from Buffalo, the Kachuk brothers, Brady and Matthew from Ottawa and Florida, Vinny Trocheck from the Rangers, and Zach Werenski rounds it out from Columbus.
Yeah, so I mean that's going to be interesting because there's a lot of big names for that. I'm sure there's a lot of big names for the Canadian team in Finland. Like the interesting thing is going to be these guys and who selects to go and who selects not to, because some of those big names, I heard a lot of Vegas, I heard a lot of Minnesota, I heard a lot of Winnipeg,
Boston, Winnipeg,
like. Yeah, these are all big time teams right now. So you got to keep it. It's like Austin said, like these guys come off and choose to go, come off that Olympic break, they might be a little tired, and so this could change the paradigm of what the playoff picture looks like. That's why I'm saying it's a shuffle, and it's important for the Flyers to continue to stay in that shuffle, because once the Olympics shake out and the stretch run starts to happen, you're going to start to see the cream rise to the top. You know, like whichever team maybe sent less players or whose players decided to not go, I think that's the team. Those are the teams you're going to start to see jump up. Like, I didn't hear a ton of Carolina. Carolina is still a front runner, so I didn't hear a ton of Carolina. And so, like, you got that. You got the Islanders. You know, like, you got certain teams that in some ways, I don't know, like, you're going to see a paradigm shift in the standings after the Olympic break. But James, if you wanted to get to the upcoming week.
Sure, absolutely. That's what I was going to say. So we got this week, we got the Flyers taking on a back-to-backs. This week we got the Lightning tonight, and we got a back-to-back on Wednesday and on Thursday. Then we got the Rangers on Saturday against the Rangers. That's a matinee game. Real quickly, though, before we get into that, though, the injury report for tonight's game. Travis Konecny is still day by day, but as a game-time decision along with Carl Grundstrom, so that will be a game-time decision. Bobby Brink is now officially ruled out, so his status will be probably little by little, according to PHL Wise Sports Reports, and also Jamie Drysdale is on the injured reserve. So it's going to be a tough matchup for the Flyers this week with those injury front. But Joey, I'll ask you this: how do you think they do this week with all those suffering injuries that happened in the past week?
So I'm sorry, who did you say they're facing on Tuesday and Wednesday?
Wednesday and Thursday is Buffalo, Pittsburgh, respectively.
Yeah, they play the Sabres and the Penguins on Wednesday and Thursday.
I'm going to do 3-1. I honestly think tonight they're going to have a win. I think they're going to fight back against the Bolts. I think that if I'm talking, I watched that game about 5 times from Saturday. And it's like Austin said, the reason why Tampa Bay got so ahead of us is because they jumped on us so quickly. And with Sam Harrison, it kind of goes back to what I first said before. You know, like, they jumped on Harrison, and then you have a shelled goaltender in net for the rest of the game.
Right.
And you don't have the option to go to another guy. And so in that situation, it was unfortunate. Tonight, we have our guy in net. So I think it will be different. And I honestly think, look, I'm going to sit here and say, you know what? I'm going to revise it. It's going to be 2-1-1. They're going to steal a point from the Bolts tonight. They're going to beat the Buffalo Sabres. They're going to beat the Pens, and they're going to lose to the Rangers.
You know, it's a valid point because you think about it. I mean, I'm in the same boat as you are, Joe. I think they get a point tonight against the Lightning because, especially with Ladard in goal. The Sabres, they beat the Sabres once. They can beat them again. Even Austin nailed it on the head earlier, but the Penguins having our numbers. So that's going to be another big matchup here this week, too, to see what they do at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. And the Rangers are just a great – it's the thing about the Rangers that I don't understand. They have actually, believe it or not, they could be beatable because they lost to Boston on Saturday of a 10-2 count. Not saying the Flyers would score 10 goals if they wanted to. But I'm saying like they always say that the Rangers, they got this great they got this great road record, but they got like a belt to ass on Saturday against the. I mean, it was pretty funny to see because I said to myself, I said, you know, they always talk about the Rangers being like having a good road record, but they probably got exposed. They really got a little bit exposed on Saturday against Boston, and then on top of it, last night they won 1-0 against the Penguins. So I'll be keeping a close eye on it too.
Two players from that 10-4 win for Boston totaled out to 7 goals combined. So like those guys were on on Saturday, man. It was such a good.
It was a good game.
A fun game to watch. Yeah.
Those two players were like, "Can we play them back to back, please? We'd like
can we just play them the rest of the year?
Yeah,
yeah, right. Yeah, I don't even think Shesterkin was in goal. I think it was Jonathan Quick that gave up those goals or something. Or was it Shesterkin?
He gave up a fistful of them. They wound up bringing Shesterkin in to try and save it, but
yeah,
he led to.
You know, it's funny
I didn't
too.
even know Jonathan Quick was still goaltending.
Oh yeah, it's hard to believe, right?
With the Rangers, man.
Yeah, I noticed it too because I said to myself when I saw Jonathan Quick, I was like, "Damn, the dude still got it." I mean, obviously it's towards the end though, but it's just seeing him with Rangers.
That's a weird. That's a weird look. I don't have sight, but that's got to be a weird look because I can't visualize.
It's a weird vibe, yeah.
Like Jonathan Quick's a king. Like I can't picture him as anything other than a king.
It would be like Bernie Perron in Penguins gear or something.
Oh,
or like how people felt at first or like how people felt at first when Gretzky left Edmonton and went to the Rangers.
Or St. Louis where he went to the Blues.
Yeah, like just some of those times where you're just like, that don't look right.
No.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I mean, just seeing him when the Rangers blew after like winning a Stanley Cup against the Rangers, kind of it's a little weird a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like when Marty Brodeur was a St. Louis Blue at one point before he retired. It's like the same kind of feel to it. Kind of has that same kind of feel. All right, so obviously we talked about the injury report, the return to Connor Gauthier and all that. So the Flyers hopefully will bounce back tonight against a very good team like Tampa Bay. But sometimes good things have to come to an end because that's going to wrap us up here for today for this edition of This Week in Flyers Hockey. I want to thank Austin Hammel and Joey Marks joining us once again. Austin, I always ask you this, but where can people see you next, my friend?
More than likely this upcoming Saturday on the Hardcore Play and Rewind YouTube channel for the Hardcore Play podcast. Art and I will be talking about the Super Nintendo Mario game, Super Mario World. Dude, so much fun playing that game. And then aside from that, right over here at twitch.tv/Hambo26, I just recently for the second year in a row to start off the year have begun doing another run of Chrono Trigger, the 1996 RPG from Square from Super Nintendo. In a lot of circles considered to this day one of the best Japanese role-playing games of all time. I've put thousands of hours into this game at this point in my life.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
It's always fun to go back and play. The music's incredible. Character design done by Akira Toriyama, the same guy that did Dragon Ball Z, all that stuff. So you get a lot of those kinds of feel and all the different characters, which is always fun. So, running that, still doing Fallout New Vegas as well. A couple other things in the pipeline headed further on once I get some of these other games completed.
Absolutely. And Joey, I guess we could address the elephant in the room that we have special from all of us coming up this edition of Pass and Have Sports Show this week. So if you may want to tell Austin what's going on.
So this Saturday, we are celebrating on Pass and Have Sports Show our 8th anniversary on the air. So it is a big celebration. Still working on guests and whatnot, but I actually wanted to say, so Austin, my daughter who's 5 years old, I had cleaned out the basement because I was sick and tired of listening and watching the Carson Beck and anything about college football. So I decided that I was going to do grunt work and clean out my basement, and I found my old PlayStation 3.
Oh wow!
So I actually gave it to my daughter to be her first console, and my wife and her they picked up some games from GameStop, and her first game that she played was Jurassic World Lego. And
nice.
So she's enjoying it. She's going to have a couple other games. We're getting her. It's a compilation. It's got like Pac-Man and it's got like some of the classic stuff.
Yeah, like the Namco Museum type thing.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you though, because my wife came across this and my daughter kind of was enamored with it at GameStop, and she's like, it's kind of cool, but I didn't catch the name of it. It was, and I've heard of these, I just don't know the technical name for them. They're like these consoles that hold like 200 some odd games, and they're like Atari and Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis.
Yeah, like the plug and play home consoles.
Yes, the plug and play home consoles.
Yeah.
So my daughter picked up the Atari one and was like, I want to play this. And my wife's like, for $200? She's like, you're gonna have to ask Santa for that one. And she's like, but I literally was like, the next generation of gamers. I'm like, and both my wife and I'm watching the Eagles game, being completely miserable and drunk down my man cave, and my wife and daughter are playing Jurassic World Lego, and they're having more fun than me. And I'm like, you know what?
C'est la vie, man.
Yeah, that's the way to go, man. That's exactly how the way to go. I
literally asked my daughter, I'm like, did you have a good time tonight? She's like, yes. And she's like, did you? I'm like, no.
Absolutely not.
Nope. Well, I gotta give you I gotta give you kudos to too, because you have a beef with Carson Beck, obviously, as me as a Georgia Bulldog fan. But I had my beef my own self last night with Jawan Jennings killing us as an E. I mean, I can go back a ways to Jawan Jennings, but that's another story.
Now here's the thing, Austin. In case anyone out there did not catch Fly Like an Eagle, go ahead and check that out on Streampunk PA.
Possum's dead.
In Streampunk Entertainment PA, and even on the Hardcore Sports Network. Go back and check the latest episode of Fly Like an Eagle. Literally, James Scorza was like, Jawan effing Jennings. And I'm like,
Jennings, dude.
Okay. This guy's like a nobody to me, but James has got apparently a personal gripe with this guy. And he's like, he cost the Bulldogs a championship by throwing the
no, Devontae Smith did. No, actually, believe it or not, my buddy on my correct me says, at least Devontae Smith's on our side. If he wasn't, he'll probably have a full-on cardiac arrest by now.
So when Jawan Jennings did the pass, I'm like, James has got to be out of his skin right now.
There's two games I always heard from Georgia Bulldogs fans. That game and the miracle at Jordan Hare and Alabama in 2013 before Auburn won the national championship or SEC title.
So when's the national championship?
I think it's next Monday, but it's I think it's who is it? It's actually Carson Beck in Indiana.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about it. I'm blocking it out. There is no such thing as college football.
You're gonna root for the Hoosiers though, and tribute to Gene Hackman. Now that's like the Indiana Hoosiers.
Hell yeah! Go ahead, Hoosiers. Go do it.
What's that?
I really
it is Miami.
Miami and
Indiana. Miami and Indiana.
Indiana. Go Indiana. Go Hoosiers. I want Carson Beck to lose miserably.
Well, if the 49ers go to the Super Bowl, I'll be in the same boat as Jawan Jennings. I'll be rooting for against another team at that point. Because it was funny because I was talking to somebody last night about it, and she's I think her granddad was a big Tennessee Volunteer fan, but she said the reason why was because of Reggie White and obviously and Peyton Manning. But I said, can I go off on Jawan Jennings, please? She's like, yeah, go ahead. I'm already bed rested. Go right ahead. You have my support.
I mean, I said this I texted this to James last night also. I said, well, I hate Carson Beck. You hate Jawan Jennings. Well, if the Niners draft Carson Beck, we'll both be able to hate the Niners. Because I'm telling you now, I'm done. But you can catch us on Saturday, 9:00, Hardcore Sports Network, Streampunk Entertainment, 8th anniversary show. It's been a hell of a ride. There's still a lot of.
Hard to believe it's been 8 years, Bob.
It's still a lot of gas in the tank, unlike AJ Brown, where he took his tank and went home.
Yeah, he took his ball and went home literally.
Yeah, and I hope he takes his ball and goes all the way up to New England. I do not care.
I've had enough. I hear you, man. I've had enough.
Uncle.
It's collaborating time.
All right, so
that's going to do it to us here for today. So thank you to Austin and Joey for all of us joining us here today. But we'll be back next week to talk more Flyers stuff because the Flyers right after this week, they'll be going to Vegas. Whatever stays in Vegas, hopefully we'll see Carter Hart that game, like kind of like we saw with Carter Gutierrez, a little bit of reputation. But we'll dissect that all next week.
The cards will not show hearts.
But there you go. That's a good one. That's a good line, man. I like that. So now for everyone behind the scenes and for everyone that made it work here, thank you for everybody that tuned in. If anybody chime in, hit that like and subscribe button over at Streampunk and Hardcore Sports. Now for everyone behind the scenes and for everyone that made it work here, for Austin, for Joey, from all of us to all of you, good night, good hockey. Stay well, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week.